So today's talk is called Becoming a Mindful Cyborg, Beyond Peace in a Hyper-Connected World. And it's hard to be hyper-connected. I'm pretty hyper-connected and have been for 15 years. But I wanted to share with you some of the things and strategies and ways that I've found to find a little bit of reprieve. I believe we're really heading in this time of where we're leaving the age of personal tech, 1990 to 2020, and heading toward a world of population tech. And that's where we are now. We're seeing a lot of our technology be focused and aimed directly at all of us, not just us. See, I believe it's time we stop valuing our tools and start tooling our values. And it's really important to think about that because there's an application or a system you're using you couldn't make reflect your values. So what are some hacks for you guys? I created some kind of think about hacks and I put them into like 5 steps. And you'll notice up here there's little rating scales. Some of them will be harder than others, but they're just some quick little things for you to think about. So the first section is to give your device the silent treatment. A lot of people think that it's like an all or nothing proposition, just turn your phone off. But there's so many ways you can actually lower the intensity of your phone to help it become a less of a overwhelming energy suck. I think a lot of people have trouble with their phones. Same thing with your wearables. So I always say there's a lot of ways you can silence it without just turning it completely off. Play with those levels of silencing before you try to just mute things completely. One of my favorites, the most difficult, is they sell privacy glass for your phones and your devices. Not because I'm worried that anyone's going to look at my devices, but oftentimes I notice the light from my devices. So privacy glass kind of mutes that light out, not completely. It's super neat. See, because you can't be distracted by what you can't see. Step 2, learn to surf your internet. This is one of my favorite ones. So rename your mobile phone and your computers. These are my computers and devices in my house. Tenderness, you were always home, you were loved, focus on balance, groundlessness. And what's great is, people who will, do a Bluetooth, like, what is this? I'm like, it's me. Oh my gosh, why would you do that? Because that's who I am, But George's iPhone seems to make sense to too many people. It's just so easy, right? But we don't have any good cyborg examples. We don't have any old men like me telling people how to think. One of the things I love is using passphrases. So I use really long passphrases, like the things my husband has said to me that are very loving. I played my happy playlist for Alex the other day. So I have a lot of emotional playlists on Spotify I share with people. I like to add emojis to a lot of things. And it's just important to remember these devices can be a great way. On my actual devices, I actually have file systems that are actually divided up into kind of values. I used to keep my phone into the 7 deadly sins for their folders. So I knew what apps were doing for me. I do them by value now. It's an old slide. I use a lot of apps that allow me to measure things like serendipity. So not like how many steps I take, but how many times I tell my spouse I love them or I help out a stranger. I love anything that quantify kindness that way. I think it's really powerful to see those trends. Photos are amazing. The first 6 months I was with my husband, he would send me selfies all the time, and I thought, why are you so vain? I swear I did. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to tell you. I was like, I don't, But he's attractive, but I don't need to see a picture of you every day. But then we were at dinner one night, and he says, some of these are so hard to make. How come you never say anything back? And I said, what do you mean? He goes, well, press on the picture. And I'd forgotten about live photo. And what he had done is the first 6 months we were together, every single photo he sent me had a message embedded in it, either a kiss or something he held up telling me that he loved me. And I realized in that moment, I had to stop judging on how people love, because love is faster than silicon. My husband had found a way to send me messages of love that I wasn't even looking for because I assumed something about who he was. And this is kind of the problem. Right? It's personal technology, but we need to realize that people are still finding ways to love. Something we do in our home is before I leave the house, I tell Alexa and all the devices to set up reminders so that while I'm gone, my husband gets messages like, be good to yourself at school. And then I also do the same thing in the apps on his phone so he gets updates. There's so many ways when my mother and I would sit together and write down what was important and how we loved each other. Remember when your mom would put notes in your lunchbox? You can still do that. One of my other favorite ones, this one's a little bit more difficult, is setting location-based reminders for the grocery store to talk to cashiers and ask them if I can help them. A lot of times we treat cashiers as just like, you're just doing a role. But, service people, our frontline people, and this has been a thing for me since 2015. Another thing I love to do is, you can DoorDash and other things. I've been DoorDashing a lot my first day here. I always send the special instructions to tell the DoorDasher to be kind to themselves and let them know if I can help them instead of how to make my sandwich. Right? So these are all kind of, I hope you're seeing like there's some really mindful ways and kind of beautiful ways you can use this. And I always like this idea of let each connection be a reminder of what you value. So the art of appiness, again, some really simple things you can do. Some desktop wallpapers and phone wallpapers. Lock screens are a great place to put things. I always tell people, you know, I read a phone. I do iPhone palmistry. I did someone earlier where I fly around the world and I have a booth, looks like a $14 booth. And people wait in lines and hand me their phones. I look at their home screen and tell them about what they value just from their home screen. It's really creepy. I actually teach a class at Dartmouth to new physicians if they have an unresponsive patient and they can see the phone, like what's going on with that patient's life. But also I would tell people, you know, try to clear your, I met one person here today who had a clear home screen. I was like, I just wanted to hug her. Also, like remove as many icons as you down there. Grayscale is a great way to make your phone kind of less feel overwhelming. I like to use alarms. Alex has seen these go off. I get alarms all day long reminding me of things that are important. To help me be more present. Also use other types of context reminders, whether it be location-based or time-based. Games are a great way. These are some of my mindful games. Mountain is amazing if you've never played it. Of course, mindfulness apps. Again, I just think I really struggle with them charging you to sit still. In kindergarten, it was punishment. Now you can pay premium for it. Right? So, and then finally, you know, there are lots of mindfulness apps that now have interfaces into the home. One of the most mindful things I always love doing, asking people to do, it's kind of difficult, is go to your phone. If you don't use 24-hour time, switch it to 24-hour time. It'll really blow your mind. Like, what's 13? It's 1 o'clock. Also, switch your time from Fahrenheit to Celsius, whichever one you don't use. Teaches you something more and it slows you down quite a bit. If you've got your battery percentage turned on, turn it off. I've never met a couple where couples always have one will have it on and one will have it off. I'm like, okay, you're meant for each other. And one of the other things you can do with iPhones, there's an automation. So you can, any social media app, you can actually launch the social media app with an automation. But what I do is all my social media apps, the automation launches a screen to remind me to rest for a moment before I get in. So it's like a little extra step to slow you down. It's so much fun. This one will blow your mind. Anybody on Facebook? You ready to have your minds blown? So Facebook, what do you see here? All these things, right? How many hours ago? How many likes? How many comments? This guy is genius. You should have him speak here at the university. His name is Ben Grosser out of New York. He wrote an interface you can download, anyone can download, called the Facebook Decremeter. And what it does is it removes all of the data from Facebook. You don't know when anything happened or who liked it. It's amazing just to consume stuff because it's good. Does it on Twitter, does it on TikTok, takes all the vanity metrics out. I always tell people, if you can use your social media without vanity metrics for a day, you're a good person. You're gonna realize how much they're driving you. See, we have a choice in how we work with technology, but our technology gives us a choice in how we work. Our technology, and you have technology in how you work with your choices too. So number 4, see how technology is a time machine. I've really thought about how my relationship to time has changed over the years, you know, me getting more into the moon cycles and stuff, and thought about how we're really kind of in this experience now where everything feels emergent instantly as biological mechanical systems start to come together. So I started thinking about you know, simple things people could do. Obviously, on all devices now, you can set the kind of sun up to sunrise. A lot of them automatically change colors throughout the days. That's a really simple thing you can do to kind of make you aware of where you are in the day. If you have a wearable, I always encourage people to use the astronomical phases so you understand where you are in the moon cycle. I love the one that shows you where you are around the sun each day. I always tell people one of the coolest things you can do with Facebook is go send a post to yourself in the future, because Facebook will give it back to you a year from now. So create a post where you tell yourself how you're doing in the year. And then a year from now, when it serves you back your memory, you can see how you were doing. It's kind of fun. There's an app called Dabble Me that'll send you emails from yourself in the past. Because like I said, when we think about how these things make us feel, it's super important. I love food logging apps. I like to log food I might eat to see how bad it's going to make me feel. Right? So time travel within an app, right? So again, it's super important. And then the last but not favorite one is I've been talking a lot about Amazon. Alex and I were talking about Amazon too. This is my favorite one. So you know what it's like to shop on Amazon, right? Puts all these, you can see the dollar amounts and everything. Well, this app called Time Well Spent allows you to put in your yearly salary and then doesn't show you the prices of things, but how long you have to work to get them. Right. So when you can see how much of your life is being sucked away by something you don't need, it's a little bit different than thinking it's only $11. That's 3 minutes away from the people you love, right? So it's kind of important. And I really believe anxiety is just an improper relationship with time. Use your state, not your time, to navigate your day. And last but not least, this is a controversial one. I call it the death stack. So if possible, make sure you go and set up all your legacy contacts regardless of your age, because it's nice to tell people how you'd like to be remembered. This is a great little app called We Croak. It sends you messages throughout the day reminding you you're going to die. They're a little jarring at first, but you get used to the idea of, okay, I'm not immortal. Maybe I should be nice to this stranger. One of the things, another app I love called Progress Bar, it takes all the battery icons out of your devices and replaces them by where you are in your life. Deadline will look at your behavior every day and calculate how much life you have left and send you messages if you add or subtract life from you, which leads to the idea you only have to die, but everything else is a choice. See, technology can either be good or easy, but it can't be both.